The Olympics are set to take place in Rio, and there are numerous reports indicating that the violence in Rio not only continues among those living in the favelas, it turns out that the violence has actually escalated quite a bit because of drug gangs feuding with local police. Now, a number of violent acts have taken place just over the last few weeks, and I want to give you an example of one of them. Apparently, there was a drug kingpin who was being targeted by police officials, and during a gunfight, he was hospitalized. While he was hospitalized and while he was under protective custody, it turns out that some of his gang friends tried to get him out of the hospital, so they showed up with their weapons and started shooting the hospital up. CNN has more information on that. Take a look.
A clash between police and gangs in one of Rio de Janeiro's impoverished favelas, with civilians caught in the middle. Urban warfare in densely populated communities, where parents struggle to keep their children safe. This woman says 2 bullets flew into a children's recreation center. When armored personnel carriers and police special forces move in, they trigger more gunfire. It's not exactly what you'd expect in the host city of the upcoming Summer Olympics.
So that was one major story out of Brazil, but there's another major story that should make all of those going to the Olympics a little concerned. So recently there was a photo uploaded on social media featuring a gang member holding an AR-15, and he was pointing to vehicles on what's referred to as the red line. The red line is a road, the main road actually, that helps travelers go from the airport to all of the touristy locations, including the Olympic Village in Brazil, in Rio specifically. And that is a cause for concern because there is a tremendous amount of violence on the red line and also the yellow line, which is another road. Now, the road is the red line, Rio's main highway, and the only route into Brazil's Olympic city along which every sports fan, athletics delegation, and foreign dignitary will travel to get to the mega event. So it's insane because apparently, like, the gangs will go up to people's cars and shoot people up. There's violence there all the time. I have specific stories of specific people getting shot and killed just in the last few weeks. And so right now, officials in Rio are trying to pretend like they don't have a problem, but there's a huge problem. They cut $500,000 out of their security fund, right? Because of the economy. The economy is not so good in Brazil. So if they don't have enough resources to keep people safe and you see this uptick in violence, well, it is a cause for concern.
So this is partly related to oil. So let me explain. Brazil has a ton of oil, one of the countries in the world that has among the most oil. And when oil prices plummeted, Brazil's economy was too dependent on oil, and it plummeted along with it. It's had huge budgetary problems. Now, this might not have been so bad if there wasn't systemic corruption where the people in power redirected a lot of that oil money to themselves instead of the people who could have used it in those neighborhoods that we just showed you. So maybe there might not have been as much crime if there wasn't as much poverty, if there was more economic opportunity, educational opportunities. But instead of judiciously using the resources of the country for the people of the country, instead, as happens all across the world, the rich and the powerful took a lot of that money, put it in their pocket, and they didn't share it with anybody else. Now, Brazil is a disaster. And this Olympic has been, so far, it hasn't even started yet, and it's already an epic debacle. So, look, every country that has the Olympics has some issues. And before the Olympics, because there's so much media around, those issues will get spotlighted and sometimes exaggerated. And not everybody's getting shot in Brazil. Not everybody's getting the Zika virus in Brazil. And so there's a little bit of hysteria attached to this as well. But overall, there are real issues in Brazil.
Absolutely. I mean, look, the favelas line both sides of the red line, of that road that I was just speaking about, right? And so what happens is there is this, of course, huge divide among police and the drug dealers and the drug traffickers that live in the favelas. And oftentimes the police don't even police those areas because of how dangerous it is. And they're like, whatever, these are the slums, so we're just going to let them do whatever they want to do, and we'll continue protecting the wealthier areas of Brazil. And so right now you're seeing that, the violence is increasing. They're cutting the budget for security and for cops, and they're trying to brush this issue under the rug. And yes, Cenk, I agree. I think whenever you have the Olympics in any country, you're going to see some of the stories sensationalized, but we have specific evidence showing the uptick in violence and how much of a problem this is. So there needs to be something done. I don't know if they're going to rethink their decision to do it in Rio. Probably not. But it does put people at risk.
There's no way they're going to redo it. See, that's the other thing. Unfortunately, a lot of this comes back to money, right? If they hadn't taken most of the money in corruption and actually cared enough to police those areas and actually make them prosper, if they cared about the people inside those what are now slums, then maybe we wouldn't have this issue in the first place. And now they've invested too much money in the Olympics to move it. There's no way they're going to waste that money. There's no way that Brazil, after putting all that money in, is going to go, no, it's too dangerous here. No, you guys go do it somewhere else. Inconceivable. Doesn't matter if the whole country was on fire, they wouldn't say that. Because the most important thing is they don't want their money on fire.
Of course not.
So, and they're looking forward to all those tourists coming in and putting money back into the economy. Now it looks like not as many tourists might come in. Oh boy.
You could look.
So they might be losing a ton of money on this Olympics at a time when their economy cannot afford it. So it's disaster on top of disaster.
Yeah, you could not pay me to go to the Olympics in Brazil. I have no interest in that. I don't care if people think these accusations are overblown. Like, you read some of these specific stories and it's like, I mean, anyone, regardless of how innocent you are, could be a victim of this. Last month, there was a 17-year-old girl died after being hit in the head by a stray bullet as she sat in the back seat of a car being driven along the freeway to the international airport to meet her mother. That just happened. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something, it smells a little weird to me, only because that AR-15 picture, that's such a weird picture to be in the press now. It just feels like it's almost a marketing campaign against Brazil at this point.
Yeah.
So it raises a couple red flags for me. There are vulture capitalists in the world who sometimes bet on currency, bet on economies. And if they shorted Brazil, then all of a sudden pictures like that would show up. By the way, a picture of an AR-15 pointed at things. Yeah, welcome to America.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't have the Olympics here because there are more AR-15s here than anywhere in the world, including Somalia per capita.
But why would we want to take AR-15s away from the people of Brazil? Like, have they had their due process yet?
Oh, well, if that AR-15 is pointed at people, I'm sure that it is keeping them safer, according to American logic.
That's right. We just need to make sure everyone else on the road has an AR-15 so they can protect themselves from someone who's pointing an AR-15 on a bridge where they can't see them.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but to be fair, look, the other side of it is it's worked on me. I mean, and I have no idea if it's propaganda. I'm sure, of course, there's real violence in Brazil. That's totally true. It has risen. That is also true. There is the Zika virus. Those things are true. The degree of their severity is, to me, slightly unclear. But has it worked on me? Yes. Would I go to Brazil? No. Not right now, I wouldn't. And that's the state that Brazil's in right now, and that is not a good place to be.